Hello everybody, sorry it's late. I'm on a field trip today, so I get to work in the field for a couple days out from the shop, so it's good. Different hours, all that, so that will be okay. This video is huge, it's monumental. I'm really angry. I woke up early this morning to work on my letter to Perry Bellegarde, and my news feed, NDP, comes up. Jagmeet Singh, along with a number of British Columbia politicians, NDP, provincial overlap, MP overlaps, and they're all going off about Métis Nation. Completely, 100% out to lunch. Absolute lie. They start going into colonialism, the new narrative to hijack the work I'm doing, stealing my intellectual property. Filthy Jagmeet Singh goes out to steal my intellectual property, but he can't do it right. He's a loser, a degenerate, and worst of all, he's a liar to all the First Nations across Canada. I can guarantee every Canadian and every First Nation, NDP is just as guilty as the Conservatives and Liberals. And I'm going to prove that to every First Nation, every Métis Nation, as this post is squarely and solely focused on all of you, a small minority of Canadians. But I have completed my Métis Nations file, meaning each and every region. Monumental amount of work. I did all that. Not the filthy Jagmeet Singh and his lazy asshole NDP subordinates, MPs, appointed, lazy, provincial, and that's what we're really going to target. The Canadian Constitution is all we have. Any kind of rules of governance, which again, like I keep telling everybody over and over, First Nations entirely does not exist in the Constitution of Canada. You're not the only ones. Canadians, third and second class, do not exist in the Canadian Constitution whatsoever. There are no provincial constitutions whatsoever. Never have been. It's called for even from the original Constitution Act. It's called for, it's mandated for, but no dirty, corrupt federalist politician of any of these mainstream parties ever wanted to do that. Now we're going to give a presentation, Métis Nation, as it really is. Did you know there were only ever 12 communities to be cemented for First Nations? I gotta get out of this lane, it's bouncing bad. There were 12 communities for First Nations, for Métis Nations, to ever be cemented in anything real. It comes from one premier in the history of all of Canada. One premier, William Aberhart, 1938, none other than Alberta, Canada, the province, home of the rebellion, Louis Rebellion. That's reality. The place where Canada, federal Canada, positioned the Western Army from that day forward till even today. All four Western provinces, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, see the bulk of the armed forces in none other than Alberta. You will find Battis here in Alberta, you'll find it all. But going back to Métis Nation, there's Métis Nation all over Canada, unsettled, most on what's called unceded land. Do you know that British Columbia original part of Canada, and also one of the most racist and horrific assassinators of First Nations, perpetuators of genocide to today. This goes for Upper and Lower Canada, no different, absolutely no different. And small postage stamp Manitoba. We know they were eradicated absolutely out of the Atlantic provinces. This is a reality. We can sugarcoat this stuff. We can lie about it. We can tell ourselves all kinds of fable stories. As Jagmeet Singh with the filthy NDP tries to hijack what I'm working on. They've never put a dollar into it. They've never even put a single ounce of fact backed up in absolute history. Jeez. Sorry, everybody. She's a rough one this morning. I don't know. NDP's never backed up any of their claims. Nothing. No real science. Derek Sloan, Maxime Bernier, they're all in on it on one story here yesterday, going into their Twitter accounts, posting all about how they view everything, which is completely absent of any real fact. William Aberhart decided, after Alberta had won its resources, the only province in Canada not to have any resources. That's because of Louis Riel. Alberta got the biggest mistreatment out of any province in Canada into Confederation. No resources, no rights to nothing. Property rights stripped. This is your civil rights. Even less civil rights than any other province or territory. William Aberhart fought hard. He fought hard. He fought hard. At that time, the Crown, which was absolutely King George V, King George VI's father, leading up to him in 1938, the kings before that would not allow William Aberhart to ascend anything. He fought the lieutenant governors, the only premier to really fight the Crown, which our politicians have today. At that time, he alone and on his own, they called him Bible Bill, or Bible Belt Bill. And he fought hard. NDP is, oh, he's a racist, he's this, he's that. Métis Nation, you got an astronomical settlement in land. 1.2 million acres in Alberta. It was even larger than that. I don't know if you all know this in history. William Aberhart brought it forward in one act, and he got King George V to ascend it with 5 other First Nations. William Aberhart did that, and it finally got ascended by the lieutenant governor, who had full Crown power to say no. You'll find this is the same for the ATB Bank. William Aberhart is the only premier in all of Canada's history, besides, again, Peter Lougheed, after Social Credit Party, who was raised by Social Credit Party parents, the first progressive conservative to win, and also went for absolute constitutionalism, trying to amend the federal constitution, which he lost, stabbed by corrupt premiers. But he had the mind, raised by Social Credit Party parents, went to law school, and went about to do constitutional reform in Canada. And he was betrayed by Quebec, which we can get into too. Métis Nation have 0 settlements across Canada. 0. And you know what? BC's the worst perpetrator of genocide, even up till today. I have all the exhibits, all the facts, real history that no ICC is going to ignore. It goes way beyond residential schools and absolutely into the genocide perpetrated by all governments, federal provincial alike. They will hear about regions. They're going to got Duncan Kinney writing stories to screw over treaties 6, 7, 8. They don't even acknowledge the overlap of Treaty 4 and 10 in Alberta. They could care less. They don't care about treaty lands of 1867 opposed to 1876 Indian Act, a complete written genocide of a peoples. They don't talk about the genocide of Quebec, Ontario, BC, worst of the worst, extinction level events that happened in absolutely the Atlantic provinces and absolutely in British Columbia. They don't talk about that. Métis never got any settlements outside of only Alberta, done by William Aberhart, who even gave more. There were 12 land settlements. We watched Conservatives come in and at least they ratified there was a big $300 million payout, but they were reduced to only 8 remaining settlements, the 1.2 million acres. Open your history books, folks. Don't listen to any of the crown powers of government. There have only been ever, just two premiers in the history of Canada to ever fight the crown. One was very limited, but at least he did it. And another absolutely fought the crown many, many times. And in the history books, they call him KKK, Bible Bill. And that's none of it's true. He did more for Métis and Indian peoples than any other premier ever recorded in Canada's history. The rest are absolutely genocidal maniacs. I'm not saying he was picturesque perfect, but when you're going back to 1940 or 38 and him doing a monumental settlement for Métis Nation, as in giving absolute self-governance, backed up again in 1975. Oh, sorry everybody, and I said I was going to get that mount and I never did it. Didn't do it this morning. Boy, oh boy, what a day. Anyways, that's my video. I know it's early. Everyone will get up and get to see it. Share.
In 1 kilometer, keep left to stay on Ontario 407 East.
Don't let these filthy politicians lie to every Canadian and every First Nation. We can finish the work done by those before us, the real patriots who were thrown in the garbage by none other than your filthy, corrupt crown and your filthy...
Keep left to stay on Ontario 407 East.
Your filthy, lying media that's paid by none other than the same crown.
Continue on Ontario 407 East for 17 kilometers.
Paid by absolutely all of you, the taxpayers. That's the garbage. This is Canada. A crap, corrupt, lying, thieving set of politicians from every party. NDP has done nothing on this file. They continue to perpetuate, right in BC, the absolute genocide. That's NDP John Horgan. Real, credible, verifiable, and the truth. All the parties are corrupt. Derek Sloan, he's garbage. His narrative's all over Twitter too. A total lying loser. Nothing to do with Jesus. It's just a front. He's a sick pervert. William Aberhart was a Christian. William Aberhart was a man of the people. And history doesn't write him that way. And who does that? Losers like Derek Sloan and Jagmeet Singh and Maxime Bernier. Radical liars that only want to take the crown for themselves. No different than liberals and conservatives. They've all done it. We have all the evidence in the world. Each and every MP's vote, each and every MLA's vote for the entirety of Canada, region by region, and absolutely the entirety of House. Through all history, they're all garbage. Very, very few. And Alberta's not the most racist province. They've done the most settlements, even though First Nations remain unsettled and absolutely worst of the worst. And vast majorities of Canada's land remains untouched, unhad by any third, second, or First Nations person. And where does it go? It goes to foreign interests, foreign companies to fill up the back pockets of all these corrupt politicians, and you, Joe Jane taxpayer, third-class citizen, has to pay for it out of your taxes. That's the rape, the atrocity. That's what they're keeping from you. That's the real truth. Don't trust any of them. Wear orange for NDP. Fuck you, NDP. You fucking genocidal maniacs. And Jagmeet Singh, you cocksucker. You're the worst of the worst. The worst low-life degenerate motherfucker in Canada. Worst of the worst. In color, you play like you're some kind of hero. You're a genocidal fuck. No different than the rest of them. And I can say that, and this video is going to stay because you're the lion, motherfucker. The racist, degenerate piece of shit. And you think you're going to steal my intellectual property? We're going to beat your ass in the 2023 election. That's my video. Harsh, real, it's true. Share, share, share.